Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's now 7:06 on O'Connor and Company this busy Wednesday morning, not just busy in the news cycle, but also on the roads. As you just heard from Jamie Whitten, we'll keep you updated on that nightmare on the inner loop of the Beltway in Montgomery County. Also coming up at 8:05, Tulsi Gabbard on her new book, and then Representative Chip Roy of Texas on the border executive order from Biden yesterday and on his hearing with Merrick Garland yesterday, also on Capitol Hill. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Thank you. Joining us right now is Mark Morgan. You sound very businesslike this morning, Julie. Let's get right to it. Former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and now a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. You remember back when the border was actually close to being secure? That was when Mark Morgan was in charge. All right, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Larry, Julie, thanks for having me.
So where do we start? Biden first saying that he doesn't have the power to do what he did yesterday and then doing what he did yesterday? Or do we start with him denying that anything even needed to be done because there was no crisis, everything was fine at the border? Or the executive orders that he put in place on day one that reversed the orderly process that you had put in place when you were in the White House? Or do we start with the fact that what he did yesterday actually isn't going to do much of anything? I mean, there's a lot to draw from here, Mark. Go ahead and take your pick.
Larry, that's why I love coming on with you guys, because you just summarized everything. I mean, literally, it's frustrating for me because when I do these interviews, there's not enough time to cover every single topic that you just mentioned, right? I mean, seriously. I mean, if I can, though, so let's just take the latter, the last 24 hours, the executive order itself. There's a couple of important things here. First of all, the border will never be shut down. I keep hearing, well, if it reaches this imagined threshold, then we're going to shut down and then reopen. I promise you, under this executive order, under this administration, the border will never be closed down. This EO, all it does is legalize and normalizes a unjustified certain level of open borders. That's going to further perpetuate the chaos and lawless. Look, 2,500 a day. Just so everybody listen, what that's going to equate to at a minimum is that they're going to allow in 1 million illegal aliens to cross the border. That's absurd. And then here's the big thing that they're not being honest with the American people about is that at the ports of entry through the CBP1 app right now they're on average to this year to allow over 1 million otherwise inadmissible aliens into our ports of entry. Mm-hmm. So, look, I don't like to do public math, but under this executive order, that's still 2 million people that they're going to allow into this country. That's not closed borders.
No, not even close.
Mark, I'm hoping you can explain a little bit more about some of the humanitarian crisis we're going to see from this, mainly how this rule exempts children. Why is that? Can you explain to our listeners why that's so dangerous?
Yeah, again, look, I'm not trying to blow smoke your guys' way, but Julie, this is what, again, I love coming on because this is such an important question that most of the media is just glossing over. So unaccompanied minors, UACs. So in that 2,500 daily average, which is still catastrophic, by the way, is that they have carved out, they have exempted, as you said, all unaccompanied minors. So here's what's very important, and here's where they will never be honest with you. What that's going to mean is the cartels will quickly adjust their tactics, techniques, and procedures. And what do I mean by that? They'll be like, well, okay, if you're just going to allow unaccompanied minors in, well, we'll just start focusing on that. So we'll start then trafficking at a higher degree of unaccompanied minors. Parents now will voluntarily work with the cartels and hand over their kids to the cartels to smuggle them in because this administration says that that's still a free passport in the United States. That's why it gets so frustrating, so many levels. They keep saying that they care and they're trying to develop a humane process, and it's a big lie. There have been more women and children trafficked and they're the victims of sexual abuse under this administration than any other administration in our nation's history.
Also, Mark Morgan, we're speaking with Mark Morgan, a former acting commissioner of CBP. If, in fact, Joe Biden decides after 2,500 illegal entries on any certain day that, okay, we're going to shut it down, no more entries for a while, what happens to those people? I mean, I know that rule of thumb here and the conventional wisdom is Republicans don't care. Conservatives, let them die in their side of the Rio Grande. No, actually, I do care. I care that millions of people in desperate situations in third world nations have been told by this government that if they get here to the border, we'll let them in. So now they're paying human traffickers and drug smugglers to get them here, and now they're going to be shut down. We're looking at a catastrophe on the other side of the border now that is also Joe Biden's fault, aren't we?
Well, so you would think that's what happened, but let's look at the fine print, right, of this executive order. I don't think that's going to happen, right? So think about it. Let me give just a couple examples. Someone from Haiti, someone from Lebanon, someone from Mauritania, someone from China. The list could go on. Do you really think Mexico is going to take those individuals back across the border? So 2,501, I think it's for 7 days, right? So there has to be 7 days of chaos and lawlessness at 2,500, which still overwhelms the system. And anything that gets even close to 1,000, Larry and Julie, it overwhelms the system. That pulls Border Patrol agents off the line, and we literally hand operation control over the cartels. Remember, Secretary Jay Johnson that said 1,000 overwhelm the system is a bad day. So 2,500 for 7 days, we're going to overwhelm the system, and then 2,501 on the 8th day. Let's say it's a Chinese national. What are we going to do with that? You think Mexico's going to take that individual back? No, that's not going to happen, right? So the loopholes is, there are so many loopholes. It's not just the UAC carve-outs. There's also a thing called they can withhold removal. And so this is a big, in my opinion, this is a lot of smoke and mirrors. I don't think it's, like I said, I start off, they're not going to shut down the government. You're not going to see this massive deportation of illegal aliens.
So this was a photo op. This was a photo op, and here's why. Because people who are running for election, not just Biden, but people who are running for election in the House and the Senate went back to the White House and said, guys, we're getting killed. We're getting killed here. You've got to throw us something. So now, you're running for re-election and you're a Democrat. You can say, well, Joe Biden finally did something. Here, look, he did something. And Mark, when he did his thing yesterday for the cameras, he said this.
I've come here today to do what the Republicans in Congress refuse to do. Take the necessary steps to secure our border.
All right, if you could understand that, because he was slurring his speech again. He said that this is something Republicans refuse to do. Is there anything that the president did yesterday that Republicans have refused to do?
No. In fact, this is a very good question. So a couple of things. First of all, if anyone has refused to do anything, it's been the president for 40 months. The first few days in his office, he used that same pen to execute 94 executive orders that destroyed and dismantled the network of tools and authorities we had in place that had achieved the most secure border in our lifetime. 5 months into his administration, he should have said, oh, holy crap, this didn't work, and should have reversed them with executive orders instead of 5 months before the election. And the blaming Congress, here's why that's BS, is that the House of Representatives 13 months ago passed H.R. 2. The strongest piece of border security legislation ever in our history, and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on that. So if the Republicans wanted this issue for November, then why would they have passed H.R. 2? And the last thing I'll say, to your point, Larry, is that, look, this EO is not designed to address the crisis at the border, but rather to address the crisis at the polls for Biden.
That's right. Well said, Mark Morgan, now at the Heritage Foundation, hopefully back in the administration soon.
Amen.
That would be a great thing to actually get this under control. You were very generous and kind to say that you love coming on our show. Mark, the feeling is mutual. We love having you on, and please don't be a stranger. We love having you on to talk about this stuff and more.
You bet. Enjoy your day.
You've heard the news. Now get the facts. It's the Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
No matter how busy the news cycle is, there's always time for Critter News. We got a couple of good ones here, too. Kelly Meyer is a Washington correspondent for News Nation, and she was preparing to do a stand-up in front of the White House yesterday, Julie. And listen, I recognize going in that this is a highly visual Critter News moment, so you're going to hear what happened, but I do want you to see what happens by going to the WMAL social media page, or the X account, if you could. I'm sure it's going to get tweeted out because the video is stunning. The camera's rolling. She's not on the air yet. And as she's standing there, they have all these little stand-up. If you ever go to the White House, you look as you're on Pennsylvania Avenue looking at the north entrance, portico there. If you look to the right, there's all these green tents that are lined up along the fence there. It's where the news people stand. Each tent is designated for each network, right? And they stand there and they yes, hey, Wolf, I'm standing here in front of the White House, right? And they do that whole thing. And that's what she's minding her own business, getting ready to go on. And here, you can take a listen to what happened.
Oh my God!
All right, so what you're listening to, listen to the very beginning. You'll hear the noise.
Oh my God!
That was an attack of a bird of some sorts. It looked like some sort of rabid pigeon that flew right at her head, and like it looked like it was trying to pick her up and carry her away.
Oh, you're so dramatic.
No, this is like Tippi Hedren stuff. It was like Alfred Hitchcock was hiding in the bushes catching it all.
Sure.
Oh, no, this was nightmare stuff.
It was an innocent bird. Gosh, you're terrible. It's like when you wanted the capital fox to be killed. It was a pigeon that took her for a ledge and thought it could land on her head.
That's not very generous to Kelly. She doesn't look like a ledge.
She doesn't look like a ledge, but I will say she was very calm. I mean, you could hear her voice. She was in a bit of crisis, but she didn't run off. I would have gone immediately home.
I am thrilled that it got caught on camera while they were rolling just before she. But God, if only it had happened while she was giving her report. Honestly, come on.
This could end up on a blooper reel. You know how you see those media blooper reels?
Oh, we'll be seeing this for years. This was what an extraordinary moment. She's there getting ready to talk about President Biden's
She's going to be talking about this for years.
Bogus executive order on the border. And then...
Oh my God! Yes.
Honestly, she should add this.
Yeah.
She should add this to her talent reel because it shows when something comes at her, she doesn't run off.
Yeah. Oh, you can hear the control booth is talking in her ear saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" She goes, "Yep, I'm fine. I'll go ahead." But then she's like, every few seconds she has to take a giant breath. So there you go. That is Tippi Hedren stuff. It is terrifying. I'm watching the birds. I'm always keeping my eye on the birds. But you know what? Birds are one thing. I mean, listen, if an animal's going to attack you,
you want it to be a bird.
Well, I guess. No, I don't want an animal to attack me at all.
Well, that's true. You don't want anything.
But the thought that the animal will attack from the air is terrifying. Because, you figure your animals who are going to attack you are ground-based, right? And so you at least...
Like a buffalo.
Thank you. Wait, why
Well, I just read a story about a buffalo at Yellowstone goring a woman. And I always feel like those people I don't mean to be mean,
no, she was probably asking
too close.
for it.
You're going to get gored. I'm sorry. Go on. I totally derailed you. Go on.
Well, no, but now there's other flying animals that you have to worry about, not just birds. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The Northeast, which I think we're technically in the southern part of the Northeast of the United States, is bracing for an invasion of giant venomous spiders with massively long legs that can parachute through the air.
4-inch legs.
4-inch legs. They create these little parachute webs. They can jump from the trees and fly, land on you, bite you, and poison you.
Haven't we been through enough?
It makes you miss the cicadas.
Yeah.
You know that NPR or the New York Times are already working on their stories about how we should be eating these venomous spiders that fly through the air because that's good protein and it's going to save the planet. So don't be hating on these. And by the way, these are ugly-ass spiders, if I may say.
No,
look at it. They got these like black and yellow stripes on the back abdomen. The legs, which are gigantic, have like multiple stripes at the hinges or
but
joints.
Listen, they're the body is the size of a thimble, but the legs are 4 inches long.
And look at the mandibles on that sucker. I mean, they're gonna parachute from a tree. They're gonna land on your neck. They're gonna latch into you, and you will never get rid of it.
It's like that scene in The Alien, and then they come out of your stomach.
Heather Hunter, our executive producer, who keeps track of all critter stories that happen around the world for our Great Critter News segments, she has responded to her defense plan for these spiders. It involves a flamethrower. She's going to be walking around rural Maryland with a giant petroleum-filled flamethrower on her back to protect her children and her wussy husband, who wants nothing to do with these flying venomous spiders. And honestly, I want to be on Heather's side of the equation.
I'm going to go live with Heather this
She
summer.
will win.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:37 now on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on a very busy news day and a very busy traffic day as well, as we keep you updated on the goings-on in the inner loop of the Beltway. Also coming up at 8:05, Tulsi Gabbard will join us, talk about her new book. And then at 8:35, Congressman Chip Roy of Texas on yesterday's hearing with Merrick Garland and the Biden border executive order, which does nothing. But that'll be fun. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, good morning.
Good morning.
So I love talking about things that we all have in common. And one thing we all have in common is the experience of going to a grocery store, right? And then the experience that happens after you're in the grocery store as you're heading to the car and you unload the groceries, and then you've got the shopping cart. And there's a lot of schools of thought about this. You know, every parking lot has like that little island in the middle where you're supposed to take your shopping cart and return it. However, I am old enough to remember a time when there was no little island. Those are new things, the little island there where you're all supposed to collect the shopping carts. Usually, what you used to do back in the good old days, boys and girls, is you would unload your groceries, you would take the shopping cart, you would sort of put it in between where the cars are in the parking lot, and then there were people who worked for the grocery store, usually teenagers. It's a great job to have as a teenager. You're outside, you go, you collect all the shopping carts, and you bring them in. But now, apparently, if you don't do that, if you don't return the grocery cart to the little island place where it's supposed to go, you're worse than Hitler.
I totally agree with that.
That people are worse
100%.
than Hitler if they don't return
Yes. Yes.
I
totally agree with that.
I do not pass judgment on
Are you one of those people who doesn't return the cart, Larry?
I have done it before. I
Oh,
don't
that's
always do
terrible.
it, but sometimes I can. Well, you got
No,
kids
no,
in the
this
car.
This is an
you got
absolute-
kids. Hold
Oh,
on.
please.
You've got
What,
your kids in the
gonna
back seat
die?
of the car.
Your kid's going to die while
If
you go
it's
to
a
the...
toddler, so you buckle
please.
in your toddler in the car seat, and then you got to go, half a block to return the shopping cart. Half a block.
You're making this up. You're making this stuff up.
This
Now,
woman on
listen.
TikTok, listen to this woman on TikTok who's sort of in league with me here.
I'm not returning my shopping cart. And you can judge me all you want.
I will.
I'm not getting my groceries into my car, getting my children into the car, and then leaving them in the car to go return the cart.
Thank you.
So if you're going to give me a dirty look, off.
Yeah, F off.
Oh, I'll give you a dirty look. Okay, also, can we just talk about leaving them in the car? Like, she's going to be leaving them in the car for 10 seconds while she walks it over
It's
to
not
the car
10
return.
seconds. It's not
Okay,
10
please.
seconds.
Oh, what? Okay, fine. What is it, Larry?
Julie,
Is it a
have you? I'm sorry. Can
I'm
I
the
pause for a
mother
moment?
of 3 small children. I have done this. I returned my car. My children survived.
May I
They
pause for a
survived.
moment and give you the latest carjacking stats from D.C.
Oh,
and the greater
okay,
D.C.
please,
metro
Larry.
area?
Oh, look. Yeah, no. Come on. First of all,
I'm
fine.
just-
Close the doors, lock the doors. Okay? Now, I mean, if you're going to be that weird about things, take your keys with you. I mean, which obviously you should take your keys with you. But the car, first of all, the cart return is not usually very far away from the cars. But even if you have to, like at Trader Joe's, you actually have to bring it back up.
Yeah.
Your kids are not going to die.
Could I ask
Nobody
you a que-
wants your kids, first of all.
Hold on
Nobody's
a
going to be
second.
snatched.
Instead of yelling at me, let's have a conversation.
This is a
You
violation.
just said
of the
you just said obviously you take your keys. Why obviously do you take your keys
Well-
when you return the shopping
Well,
cart?
because I never leave my keys in the car, no matter what. I would never leave my keys
right,
in the
but
car.
no.
Oh,
Why
okay,
do you
yeah,
take
you
your
got me.
keys?
I don't want my car stolen.
So why do you leave your kids in the car?
My kids are not. Nobody wants my kids. First of all, okay, nobody wants my kids. Nobody's going to steal my kids. Do you understand how hard it is to deal with my kids? Nobody wants my kids, and nobody
That's
wants
fair.
your
All
kids.
right, that's
people.
fair.
And
it's a
honestly, I
unique
feel like this is a violation of the social contract, and you have no place in polite society.
Wait, when
if you
did this
cannot
contract
return your cart. You've taken your cart. The grocery stores are nice enough to have cart return areas in the parking lot. Your kids aren't going to die
You're so
in the
wrong.
3 seconds it takes you to return your cart.
Can I just let me?
This is alarmism at its finest.
It's not
This is
alarmism. It's not just alarmism. This also has to do with
on
wanting
the other
to
side of
do
this.
something to give back to the economy and help people with a good work ethic. Because think this through for a minute.
Yes.
They still have employees whose job it is to get the shopping carts and bring them up to the front of the store,
The
right?
job of these people's job is to go to those cart return areas
Oh.
and gather up all the carts and bring them
They
back
have
into
made
the
that
grocery
job
store.
so damn easy now.
Okay, look,
you go
I'm
to
not
one
saying
place.
that, look, fine. I'm not
all
saying,
the hard work has been done for them. All they got to do is grab them. They even have that little motorized little thing that pushes it for them, so they don't even have to get a workout when they're doing it. I want to go back to the good
are
old days
so
where a
wrong on
shopping
this.
cart attendant in the parking lot
At
actually
least you
works
can
for
do-
his minimum wage.
Oh, please, please. Have you ever taken a stack of those? Can you imagine? I mean, Larry, before we came on this morning, you talked about how sore you were because you did yard work. Can you imagine
You know what?
hauling 100
are
carts
we gonna
back
are we
into
gonna
the-
start are we gonna
Yeah,
start
we are.
revealing personal conversations from the pre-show meeting, Julie Gunlock? Is that what we're gonna do? Because you've crossed a Rubicon that I don't think you wish to cross. A psychologist has actually now explained the shopping cart theory for all of us, so we can understand the psychology behind it.
Do you
you're
guys
rude.
remember the shopping cart theory? But this theory is super, super interesting, and I think it started going around back really during the height of the COVID years. So the shopping cart theory really started on social media, and it suggests that a person's moral character and ability to self-govern can be determined by whether they return a shopping cart to its proper place after use. Talk about how it's the right thing to do even though there's no reward or punishment for doing it or not doing it. It also suggests that people who don't return their shopping carts are no better than animals, and that society can only make them do the right thing through force. Now, at a time in our culture where it's being debated as to whether we need more government influence or less government influence in our lives, shopping cart theory is very interesting. On the one hand, if we have less government influence in our lives, then are we going to have people just doing the right thing just because it's the right thing, or are they going to just stop doing the right thing altogether because they simply don't have to? Or do we need more government in our lives? Do we need cameras, and do we need like security?
Well, I refuse to accept the premise that this is a call for big gun. Neither Julie nor I are calling. Are you calling for the government to intervene on this?
No, of
All
course
right.
not.
So,
of course
the
not.
psychologist
But I do
is-
think this has to do with. I think there is some interesting thinking there that when a society refuses to do the right thing, or like I said, I feel like this is a violation of the social contract. We just sort of agree to do certain things because it's the right thing to do. Yes.
Last year, 265 children were abducted in parking lots.
Oh my God! Don't even start with me on this because I have if you leave your child in the car while you put your grocery cart back, your child that
What
is
happens
ridiculous.
if
It is
while coming back
ridiculous.
from dropping off the shopping cart, you trip and fall and get run over by somebody in the parking lot, and then your children are orphaned? Again, I don't know why you don't care about children. And
Larry,
I got
your
a better
child
question.
is not gonna be
What is the
snatched.
harm? What is the harm in moving the shopping cart to the area between where the cars are parked? It's not obstructing a parking space. And the cart is
I really
right there.
am
What's
shocked.
the
I
difference
really am
between
shocked.
putting it there and 50 yards away in the little island?
Because they have set up an area where the carts are gathered. And honestly, sometimes people are not, I know you think you're so polite because you put it in between the cars. A lot of people don't. They take up another space.
Oh, so
They put it
everyone
in the
has to
middle
be
of a-
punished.
No, everybody has to do the right thing and put their cart in the
I reject
designated
the
area.
premise. I reject.
I cannot. This is
It's
a
7:45.
shocking moment.
WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes for a sunset. I don't know how this relationship can continue.
We can't go on.
Jamie Whitten is in the Hadid carpet cleaning traffic center. Well, I'll be honest with you. I did not expect the great shopping cart debate to get this kind of reaction. We were going to have a nice little conversation about this viral video.
Reaction is mostly that I'm right.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is, but I will relay what we're hearing on social media on the X platform. HSR says, come on, Larry, you handled your kid before you had the shopping cart, and you had to take them out of the cart and get to the shopping cart, take your kid to the place where you drop off the shopping cart, and then drop the cart off the... All right, well, he hasn't...
Yeah.
First of all, I had 4 kids within 7 years, so there were a lot of kids. It wasn't just one, number one. Number two, he's acknowledging the fact that you got to figure out something with the kids. But all right, I'll let that go for a second. Stephen in Virginia, who used to be Stinky Cat on Twitter, that was one of my
great.
favorite, Stinky Cat,
Yeah.
says, when you don't return a shopping cart, you're blocking a parking spot.
Yes.
No, not if you're... Okay.
Many people do.
He says the better argument would be violence, like the murder at the Giant Eagle Market this week. Thank you. There's violence in D.C. Not all of us live in your posh, secure neighborhoods in Alexandria, Julie. I'm surprised you don't have the help do the grocery shopping for you. All right. Nuffle Bunny on X. I do love the X names.
I know.
At grocery stores that charge me high prices like Giant, Wegmans, etc., I don't return the cart and I don't use self-checkout unless they give me a discount. I'm not doing it. The higher prices I pay for a premium for the additional customer service.
My God.
That's right.
I love how I love the ones that you're reading. Okay, let me read one.
All right, fine.
This is from our friend Maria Leaf.
Oh, boy.
WMAL's.
She's got history with me.
She goes, Jay Gunlock is right. Should we stop there? No, she goes on. The TikTok woman sounds lazy and entitled. You know how to solve this problem. Park near the cart return. It's not difficult. There are many of them in the lot. I'm not about having. Okay, anyway, she goes on.
Yeah.
But the point is,
I'm going to park near the cart return where drunk housewives are like dinging all the cars as they return the carts. Have you seen the cars that are by the return place? They're full of dents.
And also, she says, people who pawn their kids off an excuse make me mad. That's because, look, the thing is this idea that you have to go to a different state to return your cart, leave your kid abandoned for a couple hours. It's ridiculous. You're running across the parking lot. It's not that hard.
PR Bogey on X says Larry O'Connor on WMAL is getting beat down from Julie Gunlock regarding That's true.
Yeah.
Of course people should return carts. More is going on here. The mom in the video is stressed out from caring for her kids all day and may need a break. Hey, Dad, please help out.
I like Tim Miller, our friend Tim Miller. He says Larry O'Connor is feeling he's yelling at Larry O'Connor for his guilty conscience for not returning his cart. That's right.
No, my conscience is clean here. Mm-hmm. I'm just fine. Everyone's reacting because we usually agree on everything, and you were really hostile to me. I think is a problem.
I don't like people who don't return their carts. I think it's rude.
K-Bra says take the cart to the cart corral, no excuse. Yeah, I think that the majority of people do agree with you on this. Yeah. Which also explains that the majority of people are wrong about certain things.
Funny, Larry, when I see people leave carts, I always assume they're liberal. I feel like they're just entitled.
Oh no, and I think the opposite.
It's like a party thing.
I think they're the people who put them in the corral are sheeples. They're lemmings. They do what they're told. They don't have an independent streak. They don't actually think these things through and recognize that real freedom, real liberty, real independence.
Real liberty means being lazy.
Yeah. It's 7:53.
7:55, WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives, here's Jamie Whitten, who no doubt returns her cart in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Do not tread on me. All right, here we go.